colder than that. Thank you guys for joining us for our Fox Local special coverage of this Florida freeze. I'm Hannah McKenzie. We have a full house this morning. Brooks Garner, TJ Springer, our meteorologist, taking good care of us.
Yep, we're here. We're here.
Thanks,
At least adjacent to, maybe together, our body heat will, keep it at least somewhat tolerable.
I'm going to call you out this morning. So they've been running around doing science experiments outside. I'm sure they'll show you guys a little bit of what they've been doing. But they left the door open. So I had to go get my big jacket that I wore into the station this morning, and I've been covered up with it because they left the back door open.
The door was, the bad part is, I feel like we were running around, and we had our photographers running back and forth, and for some reason, we get locked out there. We can't get back in. So then all heck could break loose,
That would have been tragic today.
It's the only thing worse than leaving the door open is being locked out when it's. It was cold.
It was brutal out there.
It's a big building, and so there's a little bit of a wind tunnel effect, and so we're right next to I-4. So between all the traffic moving in with it's just a lot of wind is all I'm trying to say. It was a wind chill factor of about 5 degrees, I'd say.
It was brutal out there, Brooks. I mean, I feel like all of us, that's what we said every time we were out there. Every single time, you need to take it seriously. We were having fun, but it is brutally cold.
A lot of people waking up, unfortunately, to no power in our area. Thousands without power right now. I've been getting a lot of people messaging me on social media saying, because the power's out, heating is off, and it's 34 degrees inside their homes. So a lot of people having to bundle up. Well, I know crews are working around the clock to try and get that power back on, but that's the reality of this cold snap here in Florida, because our infrastructure just isn't meant for this.
No. You think usually when the grid is stressed, it's during the summertime when everybody's got the AC pumping. And they send out the alert saying, oh, please don't have your AC at below 75 because everybody, will have rolling brownouts. And then so presumably, of course, we don't know why these power outages happen, but they happen in almost every county in our viewing area. It was probably demand on the grid that the grid hasn't seen in a while. Maybe it wasn't anticipated. And then on top of that, we have extra stresses on the grid. Maybe charging EVs or whatever. Maybe doing, because a lot
you
of
don't
people
need to do that
at
right now. Go ahead and unplug. Save it for the rest of us. A lot of people also reporting burst pipes too, and no water in Seminole. Someone did report having brown water coming out, so there was kind of the thought that maybe some larger main may have burst, leading to maybe them having to turn off water. I did check Seminole's social media pages. Haven't seen any official update yet, but that's just what viewers are reaching out to us and telling us. They're waking up with no water in the Seminole County area, and a lot throughout Central Florida with no power.
It's true. We got an email from a viewer just now in DeLand saying that they also do not have water. They turn on the faucet and there's no water coming out. So.
So do you think that's from the frozen pipes as well? It could be. And what happens when the frozen pipes happen? I mean, do we just wait it out?
Well, he had said on Facebook, his little private Facebook group for his community, he went on there and a lot of people were reporting the same thing. So that would probably point to maybe a problem at a supply station somewhere down the line, and maybe it's because the power went out and so the pumps aren't working. But it could in theory be his local dwelling, depending on what it looks like if the pipes weren't insulated. If it's a mobile home, for instance, where there's a foundation that's elevated and uninsulated pipes are running under the home. Most homes on slab, though, have insulation, I should say pipes inside, so that's really not an issue, and especially newer homes after about 2003 when there was a universal code requiring pipes to be insulated. But you probably hear us saying all the times, pipes, pets, plants, people, all that stuff. And why pipes? Every freeze talking about pipes. Like, why don't you just go to the local hardware store and buy the 6-foot piece of foam to wrap your pipe for $7? It might cost you $70 to wrap every exposed pipe in your property. I think the short answer to that is people maybe don't know that their pipes are not covered because they're underneath, like, a beam and pier type foundation. Who wants to crawl under there and it happened to me?
With all the spiders? No, thank you.
But to answer your question, the pipes bursting usually happen after things warm up. So as we start to thaw, all of the expansion in the pipes will then lead to a crack, and at that point when the water starts flowing again, that's when the flooding can start happening. So a lot of people start to realize that the pipes have burst around lunchtime after a big freeze like this. Hopefully that's not the case for you, but it's not during the freeze, it's after.
The temperature swing,
the temperature, it's a sort of counterintuitive thing that once it warms up outside, once it's 45 degrees, the sun feels warm, if you're not in the wind, that's when the pipes wake up again, and if there was a crack overnight, that's when the pipes start to leak and the flood can happen.
Oh gosh. Okay, Well, I do want to give some shout outs to social media. We've got Dan Potter watching us this morning. He says, TJ, you were outside. You are crazy. Tammy, our loyal viewer, says good morning.
Tammy.
She's enjoying our coverage this morning. Bruce said, good morning, frozen friends. Good morning to you, Bruce. Brianna Sundin, we're frozen solid in Titusville. Oh, goodness. Oh, Dan Potter wants to know, what is the coldest Orlando on record? I guess the coldest temps here in Orlando on record. Do we know those?
We do.
18 degrees said back in 1894.
We weren't far from that then.
Yeah, we
Not
were
terribly
about
shy.
6 degrees away from that.
Yeah.
So, but this is the kind of freeze that historically has changed Florida's history. There was a really interesting email sent from a viewer in Lake County describing Claremont, and people from Claremont watching.
Is that the one you emailed me? That was great,
Yeah.
Brooks. Yeah.
It was fascinating that the freezes in the 1980s that were on par with what we had last night changed the citrus industry to the point where the trees in some cases were killed all the way down to the base. They decided to replant them, and then the trees that did survive, if they took like a graft and then regrew it, they were sour.
Yeah.
So they had a difficult decision, because it takes like 5 to 8 years from when you start a grove to when it produces. Do we try and make money producing citrus and risk another freeze? And what if it comes out sour, or do we sell it to the developers? And so that's why in Claremont, near Citrus Tower, it used to be a sea of orange trees, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it's a neighborhood now, and a lot of people live in a very pretty neighborhood there, but it's changed.
To know what was there before.
It's become a sea of rooftops.
It's interesting you say that, because one of our viewers, Frankie, just said, there goes the price of oranges, grapefruit, strawberries, etc. We are seeing obviously huge impacts on our local farming community. Matt was out at Showcase of Citrus this morning. We saw how they obviously prepare the trees. They just spray them with water in hopes that, that ice will encapsulate the fruit and then, save the fruit. I was over at the
Southern
Hill Farms this past week. They were most concerned with their strawberry and blueberry fields because it was the same situation there. But what they were more concerned about, guys, was the fact that because we're in the 20s, consecutive for 3 days getting down, they've never had that long of a stretch. So the amount of water they are having to use to pump, 100+ acre farms here. That is so expensive to do. They're having to make tough decisions to, decide which crops to just kind of sacrifice in order to keep the rest. The blueberry plants specifically, they're like a long course crop, so they want to keep them healthy for 10 to 15 years in order for those crops to pay off for them. This morning they posted to their social media. They're closed right now. They've been up icing the fields. A lot of their blueberry plants have snapped. They've fallen over. And they did so by taking down some of the irrigation systems they had out there too. So now they've got leaks to worry about, as well as on top of trying to care for these crops and the longevity of the crops as well. So they are struggling out there, and this is a tough time for farmers.
Yeah, it is a tough time. The case in point with today is that we broke a record. It was the coldest February 1st in Orlando's history. Not the coldest of all of Orlando's history, but just for this date.
Yeah.
But the fact that we are rivaling those freezes of the 1980s and that the agricultural shift that happened can change so much. I was reading about the town of Chuliota. This is in Seminole County.
What is the town name?
Chuliota.
Chuliota.
Now, it doesn't look like that. If you look it up, it does not look like.
It's not.
It looks like Chola Latte or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's spelled completely different.
Maybe that's why it doesn't sound familiar to me. I've been saying it wrong.
Chocolate too. I don't know. It's like you can tell.
I'd like a latte this morning, Brooks, a hot one, an extra hot latte.
But Chuliota, they had to move the entire town center after the Great Freeze of 1894. Because it killed so much citrus that the town was built around citrus, and all the people lived in the town center to have access to the farms. We didn't have cars back then, so you'd have to be within a walking distance. And when the citrus was gone, well, they moved too. And so the town center was relocated. It used to be near Mills Lake Pond, if you know that park there's a big playground, and now it's not. Now Chuliota is more diffuse, but that was from a freeze. In Oviedo used to be citrus. They had the big freeze in the late 1890s, and they shifted the crop to be celery and sod. So you got like the big Duda sod company there going way back with the Chapman family, and they've been, by the way, huge philanthropists. They just did a huge, awesome thing for Seminole County Public Schools, donating a lot of money for the kids to wipe their debt for lunch debt.
Amazing.
So it's huge. Shout out to the Chapman family.
That's spectacular, yeah.
It all goes back to that freeze, and the original settlers of Oviedo were of Slavic descent. They were new immigrants from Slovakia, and they knew how to grow, and they knew how to grow celery. So they tried celery, and it worked out. But that was another freeze that shifted from citrus to a totally different crop, and now Oviedo is known for celery and sod and, well, some chickens too, but that's a side story. but it's remarkable. But to look back at like Lake County, like I am personally surprised because my first time living in Florida full time was back in 2009, and even the drive between Tampa and Orlando, back then it used to take an hour and 40 minutes at the most. Now it's like 3 hours at the least. So many more people.
To Tampa?
To Tampa.
How slowly do you drive,
No,
Brooks?
I always hit it at peak times.
That traffic.
Oh,
It took us 4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours when we went to the Ravens Buccaneers game, and
I
I'm like,
must have hit good.
you must be in good shape.
Maybe I've got a lead foot.
Helicopters. No, it's bad, but the population boom has grown. You know, since the last freeze, I've got all the stats this morning, so just bear with me. Since the last freeze in 2010, remember we've been saying this is the coldest weather in 16 years?
Yeah.
Right.
Late December 2010, we had a freeze that was comparable. Florida's population has grown 25% since then.
That's crazy.
That was since I was last year when I lived in Tampa. That's why it takes twice the time to get between Tampa and Orlando, because a lot of that development's happened along I-4. That's 5 million people new in Florida since that freeze of 2010. 5 million people.
That was the longest stretch of days, Brooks. That freeze then, we had highs at 65 degrees or less in 12 days.
That's
and
right.
that was our longest stretch of days at or below 65 degrees in Orlando's history, which is wild to say. Yeah. And when I was at the Winter Garden Heritage Museum, there was a chart showing the acreage, the acres of citrus farms, and how they tanked after, of course, the Great Florida Freeze. But then once again in the late 1900s, when we had that huge freeze, and now I think there's
1980s, right?
Yeah.
Can I feel like David Martin? 1986.
Oh my gosh, make us feel really old.
Exactly. Back when people.
1992.
Back when they invented the telephone.
I remember. But it's true.
Horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago, but you really have to go to the horse-drawn carriage period around the 1890s to then the 1980s, and you can have these generational freezes, which is why this one was so significant, because, I mean, this is one that a lot of folks are going to remember for a long time, and already we're getting some photos from viewers. If we can show links one as a source, we can show you a photo here.
Yeah.
Photos from viewers seeing what happens when these sprinkler systems are left on overnight and cause incredible icicles.
I think we're going to get to those photos in a second, but first we want to get out to one of our very special viewers, Melissa in Sanford. So, Mel,
good morning, guys.
It's waking up
Hi,
very
Mel.
cold in your house. You're in Sanford and you have no electricity.
Oh no.
Yeah, the power went out here, as I'm sure thousands of people are waking up to, not just us here in Sanford, but just thought I'd give you a good example of that. It flickered a few times, came back on, so we're like, phew, but now it's out. And we have FP&L. They are telling us after 5 o'clock today.
Ooh. Mel, what time did it go off?
About 40 minutes ago.
Okay. All right,
So
so around
we're
10.
looking at a day, and I've checked with my neighbors. They're all out. Amy Kaufelt lives not far from me. She texted me this morning, "Are you out of power?" She's out as well. So I tried to get her to come on, but I guess I'm the only silly one that will come on without makeup on a Sunday morning. But anyway, but yeah, I've got some numbers here. Just checked with around. It looks like Duke Energy is saying about 5,000 out, mostly in Orlando, 3,000 out in Winter Park, and then FP&L. Brevard, Flagler, and Volusia seem to be the hardest hit areas, but I'm here in Seminole, and my whole neighborhood is out, so in Sanford. So, it's interesting. Brooks and I were talking earlier this morning about this wasn't really something that it could be possible, but we weren't planning on this. And then we were talking about the overloading of the power grid, and we have so many more devices, electric vehicles, electric bikes, scooters, all those things. It's a different time on the power grid now than probably the last time we had temperatures like this. So I thought that was really, really interesting of like, because everybody in my household said, why is the power out? It's like a hurricane. Like, what happened? There's no strong winds outside here. And it's really because everybody's cranking that heat, right? And our grid just isn't used to it. So for many people, it's like the kids. They're playing old school games right now, but I don't know how long.
Maybe that's good for them.
Yeah.
Get them off the devices. Mel, what's the temperature inside your house right now?
I can't see it because the thermometer is, it's electric.
Oh, so you don't have the battery backup? Okay, understood.
Yeah. So I have to check. We kept it at about 68 last night.
Okay.
So
you think it's dropped like 10 degrees, Mel, or you think it's dropped that much?
It's cooler. It's definitely cooler. We might go for a ride or go do something that we weren't expecting to do today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously we're thinking about all those people. We'll be just fine here, but we're thinking about all those people who, maybe the power went out in the middle of the night last night and they've been hours without it in the coldest part of the snap. Or, we're hearing about reports of water being out across Osceola County and some in Seminole.
Seminole
I
as
know
well.
you mentioned Southern Hill Farms. Their irrigation systems froze overnight and looks like it burst. So I think meteorologist Jessica Dobson's heading over there. So we'll be just fine. But we're thinking about all those people who are dealing with with being colder for much longer in the coldest part of this cold snap.
Yeah, Mel, you bring up a great point.
Please bring our Florida back.
Yeah, bring our Florida.
I don't know where it went, but I'm done.
Well, to offer any reassurance, I mean, the good news is we're going to be up in the mid-40s today. Tonight it will dip again, but it's not going to be cold enough long enough if your house has lost heat to be a widespread bursting pipes event. This isn't like single-digit lows in the upper Midwest, fortunately, but it will be really uncomfortable. And of course, especially if you've got young children or older parents or people more vulnerable to the cold, it's far from convenient and a real headache if people have lost water. So hopefully the crews can get it recovered during the day today before we get into the second freeze tonight.
It's also important to note that during times like this, when it does get cold, just try to add as many layers as possible. Do not turn on the oven, the stove. Fire crews telling you stay clear of using things that are not meant to heat your home.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that can be very dangerous. It can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning, death. Very tragic situations can unfold out of that. Did we lose Mel? Did we say goodbye to Mel? Or is she still with us? There she is.
Okay.
I'm here. Can we just leave her?
Don't light a camping stove to stay warm because the carbon monoxide would be fatal.
Yeah.
So,
And if you're like Mel and you might go out into the car, make sure if you're going in the garage, the door is open and reverse out. Don't do that. It's a serious thing.
We'll
to bring
go for
up.
a drive. I didn't know heated seats were so valuable. At first in Florida, I'm like, why do we need these? But boy, they come in handy on a day like today. It's just interesting because, we all in the newsroom have been talking about what types of effects this could have. We all, we're well versed on the pipes and the plants and the crops, but I don't know if we really thought about the overloading of the power grid, and that could end up being some of the most impactful results of this because now we've got thousands of people without power.
Yeah, that's a huge point. It's something that probably nobody could have forecast or anticipated because, as you said, you associate that with hurricanes or sometimes in brutal heat waves across, especially the south, where you have those weeks-long area of high pressure. And it's 110 degrees every day. That can overload the system. You hear about power outages in Texas all the time in the heat, but for cold, you're absolutely right.
And probably thinking about what the thermostat is actually set on for so many people too. Yesterday when we had that poll up, it was a lot of people were saying that 75 degrees or warmer, and if thousands and thousands of people are doing that could easily crank everything up. And
we're all soft. We're all soft here. We put the heat on 75 instead of 68 like you, Mel.
Mine's at 70. I did. Ours was down to 70.
I left the house at 70 as well. Yeah, just in case, because you don't want. I actually turned my water off.
You did?
I did. At the main, I
You
did.
did?
I turned it
you
off
shut it
last
off at the
night.
source, really?
Before I went to bed, I did.
All right.
I shut it off at the source, and I also wrapped that pipe with a blanket as well, because, you know, I was obviously going to be here, and God forbid something happened
Yeah.
when I wasn't there, and I
Smart.
come home to a flooded place. That would not be great.
Now, what are Karis and Reese? Are they playing anything right now? Are they playing like I'm thinking of the Cracker Barrel games, you know, where you with like the little.
Yeah, That's literally what they're doing, you know. No more 3D printers.
No.
The iPads aren't working. So yeah, they're actually playing Many
can practice
right now, which is like an old school game. But yeah, I covered the plants last night. Most of them, one of the covers blew off, and I think I put it on 3 times. And then I just left it. So they made
left to its own devices now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mel,
Yeah.
one of our viewers this morning, Rachel, she, I guess, ventured out too, and she said, my plants are all dead. They're all
Oh,
dead.
no.
So poor
Yeah,
Rachel
it was
is in the
tough to
same boat.
keep those it was tough to keep those covers on. I mean, that wind was pretty brutal. 35-mile-an-hour gusts, and even the covers that have the elastic on the bottom, and I had concrete blocks trying to hold them down, but it wasn't enough. But we'll get through this. We'll be fine. Our thoughts are just, those farmers, our friends at Southern Hills Farm. Boy, the showcase of citrus this morning in Claremont, what a scene that was. You could really see the ice that Matt Trezza was at this morning. So we're thinking of all of our friends there and all the folks without power. Hang in there. I feel you.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. We're hoping that I'm sure those power crews are working really hard right now to get everybody up and running. So we're thinking of them too. This is not an easy day. I'm sure they're fielding phone calls and a lot of that. So I hope everybody stays warm out there.
We do too, Mel. Thanks so much.
Mel, I had a memory pop up. This is from February of 2021. And in Texas, do you remember the great Texas freeze? They had that big Arctic outbreak.
Yeah.
It got down to the single digits all the way down to Houston. So they also experienced an overwhelming of their electrical grid. Now,
I remember that, Brooks. Yeah, this is all coming back.
Working
Yeah.
there at the time.
I had just moved here. I just missed it. 'Cause
And
I got here in
had
June.
just missed it too. My parents
Yeah.
weren't there for this.
Yeah, that's right. Actually,
they're in Houston.
Was I there? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I thought you were.
Mel, was I there? I don't know. You know.
No, you were here, Brooks.
I was here.
You were
I was here. I missed it. Well, their power went out. In case you don't know, Mel is our news director. She runs the shop. In case you're just joining us. So in 2021, a huge portion of Texas lost power. The grid was overwhelmed, and temperatures got down to the single digits. So they did have major issues with pipes bursting, and actually some people really faced some hard times with that situation. At the
People
time,
died.
they died. Yeah,
It
people
was
froze to death in
catastrophic.
Houston.
It was
You
catastrophic.
remember in Conroe? There was a family where somebody actually froze to death there.
It was a story
house.
that, it still has lasting impacts. That
Horrible.
that was wild.
Yeah, so that was it. It was an overwhelming of the power grid, and at times they were blaming it on, there's a lot of solar, there's a lot of wind, and when an Arctic outbreak happens, it can get cloudy and the wind can die, and of course the power went out because it wasn't a diversified enough grid. And since then, they've done a lot in the grid overall, so this never happens again, including creating non-renewables, so that when times are tough and Arctic air moves in, they can keep the power on. So I wonder if this event will lead to also a reshuffling of how
What
the energy is
happens here
generated
in Florida. It is interesting because, obviously I'm familiar with the Houston area as well, but
That's right.
And so because before it comes to us, it usually passes through Houston. So they also got a chilly blast right before we got this one. And the Texas governor, Abbott, he was saying, don't worry, we've made all these changes. We do not expect the grid to be overloaded this time. We expect power to stay on. Obviously, they lost power in certain pocket areas, but it came on pretty quickly. It wasn't nearly as catastrophic as that was a few years ago. So it will be interesting to see the lasting impacts of, that's usually not for us here in Florida, is not a concern. Yeah.
Fortunately, also tonight, we'll get down to the mid-20s, but it's not going to be like that caliber of true Arctic cold. The reason Texas gets so much colder, even though we're on kind of a same weather pattern in Orlando as Houston, is that it's a straight shot down from the Rockies. They call them blue northers, and it's a very unmodified air mass. With us, we're far enough south and east that there's a lot of land it has to work over before it gets here, so it will warm up with time. So it's not quite as bad, but it will be cold tonight, just not that cold. So that's
was this the worst worst of it. Like
Yes.
obviously we got the next 2 days to worry about, but
Yeah.
slowly and surely we're getting better.
We are.
This was it. This was the worst. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be cold, but not as windy. It'll still be.
It'll feel better.
It'll feel better.
In perspective, yeah.
We'll still have icy irrigation and all that.
Did we say goodbye to Mel?
Did we say, are
she
you still
leave?
there?
Maybe.
Okay, Mel, we'll let you go. Thank you so much
I'm listening to you
for
all.
tuning in. Keep watching on Fox Local.
Mel, I'd say to
Yeah,
charge
that's
your
a good
phone.
point. If your power
Yeah.
is out, you can still watch us and get this information on Fox Local. So
Handy dandy
it's
phone.
a great, it's a great resource. So
Yeah. Whether it's a power outage.
okay, I'm gonna go
or
check
hurricane.
on the rest of the neighborhood. So thanks, guys.
Bye, Mel.
Thanks,
Thank
Mel.
you.
Stay warm.
Bye.
I do want to do a quick shout out as well to some of our followers who are tuning in this morning to Aaron, Pamela, Albert, Nicholas, who's from Wisconsin, says it was -5 where he is right now.
-5.
Yeah, take your weather back,
Oh, wow.
Nicholas.
Watching from Wisconsin.
It's
That's
wandered down
tough.
this way too.
Goodness.
Alice, Sarah, and Robin, good morning to you all this morning. Karen says Houston is warmer than Florida right now. Go figure. A lot of people talking about the science experiments that you guys did this morning.
That's great.
yeah. I think the T-shirt one, the polo, the Fox 35 Frozen
Wow.
polo.
First place for the polo.
That was pretty great. I will say there was an iconic moment where Brooks ran outside.
I wish we could roll that back right
started
now.
smacking.
I wish we had the video.
EJ
Just trying to keep TJ in line, you know?
crusty polo. I'm honestly surprised it didn't shatter right now.
It's still out there, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, I folded it up, but you know.
Oh, okay.
You know when you
I
fold
can
a
go
sh-
get it real fast.
It's frozen folded, like it's.
Oh, you-
It's like glue.
What happened to the jeans? You guys did the same thing with the
Yeah,
jeans, but I don't think you updated us.
They got slushy, but the sun came up, and so the sun hitting the jeans, like it was like frozen on the bottom and on the top, and anyway, we kind of ran out of time. The polo was the best. The jeans were too thick. It was a little too warm. We needed to be a little bit colder for the
bit
true
colder.
frozen jeans experiment.
Oh my
but,
gosh.
but it was a really interesting window into just how cold it was. You could show how cold it was
Yeah.
visually, but also a reminder that, and we've been talking about this, that if irrigation systems are on at night, I mean, this is a thing. We'll show you the pictures here to prove it. A lot of elevated surfaces. That sounds like clinical. Elevated surfaces, but like a deck or some stairs. If something like hits them, well, like water, it becomes very icy in these situations before the sun comes up. Now, even when it's 28 degrees here, when the sun is beaming down, we're such a low latitude that the thermal radiation does its thing and it just becomes water. But in the early morning, you got to be really careful for sure.
Yeah, there could be some roads that have such big irrigation systems that spray got onto the roads, especially on neighborhoods, and made it icy. So
Yeah, let's go to Links One. Let's check it out. This is our weather source.
Oh my
This is-
gosh.
Isn't this
Who
great?
is this
This is
cutie?
JJ and was it Deltona? Where is
it
he?
was De Leon
Oh,
Springs.
it's
De Leon,
JJ
yeah.
playing
De Leon Springs.
Jonathan McKenzie. Oh, it's like my last name, but spelled differently. McKenzie.
It's very close. I feel like if you said your name fast enough, it'd be like, I guess it would be. It'd be very close.
McKenzie. So this little JJ
It's JJ.
playing in De Leon Springs.
Look at that.
That's
I
like
love
a-
that.
That's like
That's really
a,
cool.
a scene out of Frozen.
It is a scene out of Frozen.
Let it go. Let it go.
Turn away. I'm gonna slam the door on Mother Nature right now.
Slam the door on that singing.
That was great singing.
We're gonna do a commercial
No.
break now.
Hey, see you later.
I was gonna join you. I was ready to belt it out.
Sing for me. It's like the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Is that the only photo we have? Do we have a couple more?
No, that's it for now.
Oh, that was just this one.
Yeah,
Just one.
that was us. We uploaded. I don't know if anybody has any photos behind the scenes that we can show that we can pull up. But
We'll offer one. There's one from a neighbor of mine in Oviedo of one of our newer neighborhood developments that they've got the sprinklers on at night, and some of the trees have icicles on them, and it's very pretty. It looks like a Christmas scene.
I love that.
Not as
That's
dramatic
awesome.
as JJ, but still kind
No,
of
that's an
cool.
adorable.
Yeah,
I
that was a
love
pretty
JJ.
dramatic
That was
one.
great.
Yeah, that was
for
very
sure.
dramatic. That's so cute.
Do you have any other questions popping up on Facebook? Anyone has said anything?
Jason's watching from Ocoee this morning.
Jason.
Joe says we're doing an excellent job. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, thank
Oh, you
you,
know what we can
Joe.
talk about?
What's that?
Dustin said it was sure nice to see flurries in Gainesville,
Oh,
Florida.
yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
was there some in
yeah.
Gaines? We got to Alachua County?
Were you not
News, I
watching the
confirmed it.
news?
Wow.
Where were you?
Hello. Brooks was paying attention. TJ, what were you
Somebody hand me
doing?
that icy polo shirt so I can
Smack him again.
You know what? We were running around so fast this morning, I could have left my mind in the weather center.
It's
so
true.
it was.
Yeah,
there were a few flakes.
And people were sending videos to us.
Jacksonville, yeah,
that was
we got
great. Jacksonville as well.
Same snow shower.
I will say though, there were a lot of debunk situations that you guys had to comb through because people were sending us videos and they were like, it's got to be. It wasn't.
Yes, this was a very complex but straightforward atmospheric weather setup.
Here we go.
This is
Alachua.
some legit snow from Alachua.
So this is the real. This is the real stuff.
Now, to make a snowflake, we just keep looping the video. There's a thing called the dendrite growth zone.
The DGZ.
The DGZ.
He didn't read that. He just knew that off the top of his head, folks.
Dendrite growth zone. Dendrites are these little microscopic water molecules, look like tree branches. And when you have super cooled water molecules, like a cloud, that it's like a cloud that's below the 32-degree mark, but it's still in a liquid state, it will attach to these dendrite crystals and make a classic snowflake. So that's why they call it the dendrite snow growth zone. And it occurs in the region of the atmosphere that's located usually between about 6 to 12,000 feet up. And it's when the temperature is between negative 12 Celsius and negative 18 Celsius. In the weather world, we run on the metric system, so I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but minus 12 to minus 18 is the DGZ. So you have to have lift going through the DGZ. You've got, not to be mistaken with the DMZ, you got to have...
DMV?
The DMV, which I hate a lot.
You got to have lift, in weather we call it omega. You've got to have cloud in that dendrite growth zone. Without lift, without cloud, you don't get snowflakes. And in central Florida, like from Tampa to Orlando, over to the beaches, the dendrite growth zone was about 5,000 feet, almost a mile higher than the saturation point where you had those clouds forming. That happened at about 5,000 feet or so. So if you had enough cloud at the lower altitudes to produce any kind of precipitation, it would either be drizzle, sprinkles, or sleet, which is like what happens when those sprinkles or drizzle bits fall into a frozen layer and become frozen. So you see the little sleet balls. Sometimes they can be white, by the way. They're not always clear, bouncing off of like a hood. So that's sleet. That means it's not snow. It has to come from the dendrite growth zone. And in North Florida, it did. That dendrite level was between about 4,000 and 7,000 feet, and that's exactly where the saturation occurred. And so it was just enough to squeeze out that moisture into little snowflakes, and that's why we had snow there. But there were a lot of debunkers, because, you know, we're hopeful in Florida. We want to see snow.
we all want to see it.
I don't want to be the fun police, you know?
Yeah.
But sometimes when people see drizzle under a floodlight or a high beam, it's like, oh, it's snowing, but it's not really snow. And sometimes sleet can kind of be mistaken for snow, because you can have like a mix of some drizzle and some sleet balls, and it all kind of looks wintry. It's wintry, right? It's not hail, but it's also not real snow. And in Tampa, there's some meteorologists in Tampa that were saying, they were talking about snow all week, you know, and then they're showing pictures of sleet saying it was snow, and it's like, that's not snow, that's sleet.
Those are ice pellets, dagnabbit.
That did not verify.
Yeah, well, it's funny, Brooks, because Laurel actually posted a video yesterday I saw, and I think out of Melbourne, looking back at the observations.
She was debunking it.
Yeah,
she was.
Apparently, it does say snow showers. I guess it was dust. Someone, yes. Did you see that? You know,
the wind, I meant to tell you
the
that.
wind. Yep.
Everybody's got the Ring cameras. Everybody's got the Nest cameras.
Yes.
You know how they have the IR function, and like it'll make a moth look like it's the Mothman.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, or like a gnat will look like a bird. It was windy. It was crazy windy yesterday, obviously, and there's a lot of pollen and dust and bits of like half-rotten leaves, organics that have been rotting all winter, and the dust really kicked it up. You know, if you like mow the lawn and you mow over leaves, it has those little tiny micro bits of leaves. Like literally, that stuff was getting kicked up in the wind, and it was showing up on people's infrared sensors. And the way you could tell is, well, not only was there nothing on radar, but you could see the stars in the background. But it looked like flurries, and it was cold enough to snow. So naturally, but again, I don't want to be the fun police. People
2 and 2 makes 5 sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And you know, sometimes they say, I know what I saw, and it's like, well, I'm not trying to say you didn't see it, but it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
We're chatting plenty more still to come. Stick with us. We're heading to a quick break. We will be right back. right, thanks for joining us on this extended Florida Freeze coverage. We do have breaking news we've been following this morning. This is out of Marion County. A large fire at a railroad facility in Denellen. Marion County Fire Rescue says a stockpile of railroad ties has gone up in flames. This is video from the scene this morning. Absolutely massive fire out there. So why does this actually matter? It doesn't look like there are any homes in the area. Well, fire crews say the smoke from these ties can be toxic. They were telling folks in the area to avoid that spot, stay inside. If you see smoke, don't go out there. We do have Fox 35's Matt Trezza live at the scene. Matt, what are you seeing so far?
Yeah, so we've got two main things that I can show you here. First is most of the fire seems to be right over there. We can see it just over the fence line there. And from where I'm standing, I can still see a few licks of flame coming up from the top of it as well. But that is a big plume of smoke from those railroad ties that are burning over there. We are told that those ties are soaked with a chemical called creosote. And that creosote, when it burns, it creates these toxic fumes that can really impact people who have breathing difficulty, anybody like that. Now the good thing is we are standing upwind from it, and so it's not blowing in our direction or any of the first responders who are out here. We're kind of at a first responder staging area here, and this is where they're starting to they're working to fight this fire. Now we can look over here, you can see there's some more of it over here that they're working to put out, and this is where we've got a ladder set up. And they are pouring gallons and gallons and gallons of water on one of the fires that was over here earlier. It looks like they've got some good headway on putting that out. We can't get any closer for the moment. We need an escort to get over there or get any closer. So for the moment, we're kind of stuck or tied down to where we are in the parking lot here. But you can see how they are continuing to just dump gallons and gallons of water on whatever was burning over there. So we've got this over here. We've got the smoke still rising from over there, and that's how things look like here. Again, we're not sure yet how this fire started. We are standing by to talk with one of the public information for Marion County Fire Rescue. Hopefully get some more details from him as to how this all started and their efforts to try and put it out. But the upshot for people here in Marion County, in Denellen, is if you are downwind, especially of this fire, stay inside, keep your doors closed, windows closed, leave the area if necessary, because again, the burning creosote-soaked logs, these railroad ties, have toxic fumes, and you don't want to, be at any risk from that. We're going to send it back to you in the studio. For now, live in Denellen, Matt Trezza, Fox 35 News.
Matt, we're talking super seriously, scary chemicals right now. You obviously, you're in a safe space.
Yes, like I said, we're upwind from it, so the wind is coming at us, which is good news for us and all the first responders here in the parking lot. It's blowing that way, so you can see the way the plume of smoke is going, and fortunately it is away from us. But there are some homes, it's a pretty rural area, there are some homes back over there, and again, we don't want those people who are affected by it to be, to have any serious health complications from this. So anybody over downwind of this fire, definitely keep an eye on things, leave if necessary.
I guess if you see that black smoke coming toward you, just, stay inside, or like Matt said, get in the car and get far away. Matt, stay safe out there. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Matt.
Sure.
Brooks, you said you just looked up some of those chemicals.
The creosote's bad. I've heard of it, and I just looked it up to confirm, and it can cause short-term irritation, coughing, shortness of breath, all the stuff you'd expect with smoke. But in the long term, creosote contains chemicals that are known carcinogens, and it can lead to lung cancer. It can lead to skin cancer if it's on your skin. It attacks the DNA. And so it's a nasty one. The reason they soak it in this creosote is these railroad ties are designed to withstand rotting and pests and all that stuff for decades on end of service. But the problem is when they burn, all those chemicals get lofted into the air. And they're chemicals that are well known. They're called polyacrylic aromatic hydrocarbons and phenols, and they're no good. So it's one of those things where you think railroad ties are wood. How could it possibly be dangerous? But the problem is there's pressure treated wood, and then there's creosote treated wood. And this is the really bad stuff.
So again, that was Marion County Denellen, a railroad facility there with those ties on fire. That breaking news will be following. We will have all of the information, the latest information on that, both on air and online, our Fox Local app and fox35orlando.com. We also just actually got a statement from FPL on our current power outages across Central Florida. A lot of folks waking up to no electricity, which of course means very cold homes. So I'm going to go ahead and read this statement to you. It says, outages have primarily been the result of strong winds impacting local power lines and associated equipment. In addition, during extreme cold weather, home heating systems can use 2 to 3 times more electricity than air conditioning, which can place added strain on neighborhood equipment and contribute to localized outages. Our crews are working to restore service in these situations as quickly as possible. I believe we did try to get someone from FPL to speak with us live. They obviously have a lot going on right now, so I'm guessing they're just working around the clock to try and restore those outages.
For sure.
We've seen a lot of the outages overnight, possibly by wind, but even this morning, as they had mentioned, that using heat takes up 2 to 3 times the power. We saw it in Houston, Texas, and in a lot of Texas in the February Arctic blast of 2021, knocked out power there. The grid is overwhelmed. It looks like that's happening here as well this morning.
And throw the wind in the mix, it makes it that much worse. So, I mean, wind gusts yesterday were up close to 50 miles per hour, and then power outages now are still, up in the thousands of customers across Orange County.
3,000 Orlando itself.
Yeah. So hopefully crews, I'm curious. I know the last time we actually lost power, and it was pretty cold. It was, I think, the 2 cold snaps ago, probably in the last few weeks. But there was actually someone sadly working up on the line in our neighborhood, and there was you heard like a sound, and thankfully, I think that person was okay from what I understand. But all
wild.
around Orange City, the power went out, and yeah. So I'm curious. I remember in that moment we got a text saying, "Hey, we're expected to get it back on X." So hopefully some customers maybe will have an idea if they can hopefully get it on in the next few hours.
They usually give you those updates.
Later in the afternoon. Hopefully before then.
Hopefully before it gets cold again tonight, right?
Exactly.
Melissa saying 5 o'clock. Hers
5
is estimated 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Oh, I must have
she was
missed.
saying. Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
Not till
That's
this
a long
evening.
time.
That's a really long time, and that's not even really like warming up a lot before we start to cool back down.
Right. I wonder why it's going to take so long. I don't know anything about.
That's probably
power
just an
restoration,
estimate.
but-
Hopefully they don't want to disappoint you and say it's going to be
Right.
on within the next 30 minutes, and then it's 2 hours later.
At least string us along, give us hope. That's all day.
Well, gosh, you think
Go see a movie.
Say it's 55 now. What if it drops another 10? It gets down to the 40s or 30s even. Then you have to think you have to have the heat on to get the temperatures back up. It's going to take a long time, and temperatures are then dropping.
You're right. They'll strain the system again because then everybody is catching up by heating their homes.
Yeah.
So it's 4 times the strain. So you can see
gosh.
how it's this cascading thing.
Hopefully tomorrow morning it's.
We're keeping our eyes on so
Remarkable.
much this morning when it comes to the freeze. I do want to give a little positive news.
Yes,
here.
we love
I
that.
just got an update from Wendy over at the Southeast Volusia Humane Society. We had a story there last week.
Okay.
The shelter put out, an urgent call. They have an older building.
Okay.
They wanted to get the dogs out because the building is not capable of handling the cold.
Okay.
They're not, what's the word
Insulated.
called? Insulated well
Yes.
enough to be able to handle it. So they had more than 80 dogs, and they were making a call for temporary fosters. So folks could just get the dogs out for the weekend and return them, and people didn't have to have food or supplies. The shelter was providing everything. But this weekend, of the 80, only a very few amounts, so 29 dogs total, were taken out of the shelter and given those temporary homes. The other dogs were able to have been moved around the facility to an area that was climate controlled.
Okay.
So only 8 dogs had to be in the main adoption area, and for those 8 dogs, the staff stayed with them overnight, took turns on a rotating schedule. They cranked up the heat to 80. It wasn't obviously 80 in there because, they couldn't keep the heat in there even if they wanted to.
Sure.
But they had comforters, they had towels, they had things jammed underneath all the drafty spots that allowed air to flow in and out. So only 8 dogs were in there after that call for help. So good news there at the Southeast Volusia Humane Society.
That's good news.
Yeah, it's always fun to hear how the community comes together
I love that.
in situations like this.
Wow.
Back to our farm situation. Claremont, Southern Hill Farms, as we talked about, is closed today. The owners actually shut down yesterday due to all this cold. We just got word their irrigation system broke. I actually saw that on their social media page this morning. They were posting some updates out there. They were posting videos to their Instagram and Facebook accounts. Some of the trees out there fell on top of the irrigation lines. So they've been doing repairs since around 3 a.m. this morning. We do have Storm Team meteorologist Jessica Dobson out there. She's heading out there, and we're going to be talking with her later in the show. So we'll be standing by for that.
I'm trying to see if we have any more comments or any questions. Please, if you have one, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, because we're live on Fox Local as well. But if anything's on your mind, we're here to try to answer that. I did see one. I think that was from, I'm not sure that was from Melissa or from Josh, our digital director, but someone was asking about conditions in Daytona for the 500.
Yeah. Looking way ahead, because here we are first. So that's about 2 weeks away. Is it
on Valentine's Day, or is it
15th?
15th. Day after Valentine's Day, right? Is Valentine's Day on a Sunday? I don't know what day. 15th.
It is the 15th.
Okay.
Thank you. Because it's the weekend after the Super Bowl or before?
It is the weekend after the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl, okay.
Day after Valentine's Day. There we go.
Valentine's Day is the 14th.
And that's Saturday.
Everybody should know.
Okay, so Daytona's on the 15th. So long range forecast. We did take a look at it.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that it's incredibly hard to make a call.
Just pattern recognition is what we're trying to do.
It's probably going to be a lot more active as far as, we've been in these very stable setups with lots of sunshine and no rain. And well, that's kind of the time of the year where things can change pretty quickly. And some of the long range models, unfortunately, are suggesting that it will not be like the Rolex 24 when it was like 85 and sunny and beautiful, that it could be quite stormy. And we've had several of these in the last 5 years, stormy Daytona 500s. Rain delays, the whole gambit. It's kind of that time of year. It's not unusual, but it's always kind of disappointing if that happens.
Sure.
But 15 days out, a lot can change. The timing of this could shift by several days and everything might be fine, or it might happen right as the race is happening. We don't know yet. But what we do know is that it will be warmer than it is now, but possibly rainier.
And looking at that, I was looking at the Climate Prediction Center yesterday, Brooks, and it went out to the 14th. But I guess now it would include the 15th. It was still showing a likelihood of below average temperatures, which is possible, overall. You're looking at that, 8 to 14 day stretch. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds, or are we going to start to rebound after these cold weeks, I mean, it's crazy to see the swings that we've had over the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
In the not so far future, we've got Groundhog Day tomorrow.
Oh,
yes.
So Sarah is asking, what do we think Punxsutawney Phil is going to say?
To our Pennsylvania native. Pennsylvania native, but last stop in Pennsylvania.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? 6 more weeks of winter or early spring?
That's a question for.
Start with you. Well, if TJ's our resident expert, we'll end with him.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. All right. So
Plus, I know TJ has it out for Punxsutawney Phil. He is not a fan.
Stuffed animals like ring today.
Voodoo doll.
Oh
it's just a doll, TJ. Put it down. It's just a doll.
I'd love to go to Gobbler's Knob. I told Hannah that yesterday. I would love to go up to Gobbler's Knob. Get the party. People are just having a great time up there in Punxsutawney. They probably look forward to that tourism and that party every single year.
Yep, that's right.
You probably know that's the name of where they pull out Punxsutawney Phil.
The locals call it the knob. It's all right.
Sorry, they pull out Phil?
They pull out Phil.
That's the cage.
Yeah, but out of a tree, kind of thing. I feel like he's down there.
They Simba him.
Yeah.
They Simba him up.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, sorry, Brooks, what are you thinking?
All right, if they're interested in accurate prognostications, they use that word prognostication.
They're not. They're just looking for your opinion.
They just want your. But if the organizers of whatever, they're gonna say you saw a shadow and he'll go back in for 6 more weeks of winter. But sometimes they'll throw you for a loop and be like, you know what? He didn't see a shadow. Spring's coming. But then sometimes it doesn't.
If we need a little hope, maybe.
I have no idea. There's a lot of emotion, though, in the meteorology world. And you can speak to this. People say, that mouse with a lot of fur. He's a rodent. He can't forecast a
mouse.
lick.
Yeah. That fat mouse.
No, it gets derogatory real fast.
People do, yeah. Well, I told Hannah yesterday, too, when we were on that, I think his accuracy is like 37%.
Yeah.
So
what's your accuracy, TJ? People are throwing stats up here. What's yours?
I like to hope that Brooks and I and the Storm team, our accuracy is a bit better than 37%.
I would like to hope as well.
Can we get Melissa back on the line and ask her?
You might not want to. too.
TJ, in all seriousness, you've got the bow tie. Are we going to do the top hat this year?
I would get an outfit like they have a name.
It's like,
I can't think
a long, the black jacket and.
His handlers?
There's a special name. They have a name for it. We'll take it live. We took it live before I moved down here every year, and especially for folks in Pennsylvania, because it's not that far to get up to Punxsutawney. But
the place?
That's the place.
Is it really called Gobbler's Knob?
That's called Gobbler's Knob.
Is it Jeroom? Is that the handler of
the
what? This is the handler, Jeroom?
That could be a good. The Groundhog Club's inner circle. I think they might just call them. Yeah, I think they're part of the. Yeah.
It's like the Skull and Bones Society.
It's very prestigious.
They don't reveal anything on how they do it or what they do, but that's just
like the old Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah, exactly. We don't talk about our methods, but
they can only speak in Old English, so that's why they're like, hear ye to the good people of Punxsutawney.
Yeah.
The old Punxsutawney.
The old prognosticator. He's procrastinating.
Up in Gobbler's Knob.
Oh my God.
All right, we do have new video from here, not Gobbler's Knob. This is Bachnight Farms in St. Cloud. All right, what are we looking at? Just an icy situation out there as well. I wonder what kind of, producer Austin, do you know what kind of farm they have? Is a citrus out there?
Wow, that's unbelievable. Look at that.
It looked pretty low. I wonder if that's.
It always looks so dramatic,
so?
but that is the look that they go for because that's what they need. They need all this water to cover every part of the plant. Or a tree or bush, whatever we're looking at. I'm not sure what kind of crop it is out there, but everything that the ice encapsulates should be safe from the freezing conditions. However, though, we did hear from the folks at Southern Hill Farms, it can also be a double-edged sword because all that ice adds weight. So sometimes, it can be 50, 60 plus pounds of extra weight onto the crops themselves, which can lead to damage as far as snapping branches, pulling entire plants and trees and bushes down with them, which can obviously affect the production of that crop for years to come.
I was just looking at the latest on that. Absolutely. That's the thing. These freezes can sour a crop. So if you have like a perfectly great producing orange tree, and this is a time when citrus is struggling anyway with citrus greening, it can sour the citrus, and then it'll never produce a good one.
About this, but also I learned when I was at the farm because strawberries do well in the cold, not this cold, but that's why their strawberries are so sweet right now.
Gives them a little sweetness.
A lot of sweetness. So for citrus, I guess it makes them the opposite.
I wonder. I'm not an expert with that. I've heard the cooler mornings can help sweeten them up a little bit, but I don't know what the threshold is to sour them. But yeah, with strawberries,
it's a fine line.
It is. It's like everything in life.
Cool.
I have a whole big bowl of strawberries from Southern Hill Farms in my fridge right now. I had some last night. I cut them all up and I put them with cream. It's like eating candy. They're so sweet.
Nature's candy.
It's actually prime peak season for strawberries right now at Southern Hill Farms, and that's where Jessica Dobson is. So we're going to check in live with her now. Jess, how are those strawberries and blueberries doing right now?
So I'll be honest, Hannah and Brooks and TJ, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in my life. So overnight, you were talking a little bit about the ice, right? And overnight, the trees, these are the blueberry bushes and the blueberry trees and crops, they were actually falling over and collapsing and causing issues with the irrigation and causing the ice and the water to obviously make it worse, more ice than what they needed. It is so bright and white with just how much ice. I'm talking inches of ice on some of these branches. It's really heart-wrenching. We just spoke with one of the owners here at the farm, David Hill, and he was just saying how they're just trying to manage and prepare for tonight as best they can. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but every couple of seconds, you'll hear kind of a cracking sound and a crashing. And that's from the weight of the ice on these blueberry bushes and trees. That's the weight of them causing the trees to kind of topple over. And that's creating additional issues for them in terms of just the water causing issues with the pipes and just the irrigation as a whole, just creating additional problems for them, which is just, he was mentioning to me, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It was, do we Do we prep? Do we ice, or do we not, and risk the freezing temperatures? They were doing everything they could. They knew this was a possibility, but they said there's certainly some crops that they're losing with this, and yeah. And this is not just them either. These are going to be a number of crops around here, and as temperatures are thawing out, you can still hear the trees kind of crashing, because I mean, the ice can only melt so much of the sun, and now we have another night too. These additional cold, just frigid temperatures. It really does look like something out of a movie, like a frozen tundra. You have ice, these huge icicles just hanging off of the crops and the blueberry trees, and you have to wonder where do you even go from here, because we're talking cold temperatures all the way into tomorrow at the very least, but still dipping below freezing potentially until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and they're just doing their best to manage, and they literally said they were up all night long, going row by row, trying to fix what they could, literally in the middle of the night, trying to manage all of these, because I mean they're quite literally coated in ice, and you can see obviously the water's still going, but yeah, this much ice is not what it's supposed to look like. By the way, they do this in a protective effort to kind of almost cocoon the fruit and keep the coldest of the temperatures out away from the blueberries and the blueberry bush themselves. But this had kind of the opposite effect. But it was a risk that they knew it was a possibility. They haven't dealt with anything like this before. They said that they first planted their blueberry crops in 2011, and as we've been mentioning, we've had the coldest of the temperatures. This is the coldest it's been since 2010. So it's really hard to put into words. It's honestly like, it speaks for itself in terms of the gravity of the situation, because yeah, it's hard to tell even what's underneath all of this ice. So really just it's so heartbreaking, because Southern Hills Farm it's such a staple. They do think the strawberries are going to be good. I know Hannah was talking about some of the strawberries. They do think the strawberries are going to be okay. And yeah, just really thinking of all of them and here. And it is such a Central Florida staple. They're a local business, and it's not all of their crops they've lost either, by the way, that they know of, but they won't be able to really measure the extent of the damage until things like, obviously thaw and warm back up. But yeah, it's hard to put into words, just how the magnitude of this and how significant it is. And again, they're going to try, they're very busy. We did speak to the owner again, David Hill, a little while ago. He was just, I don't know if you guys could just hear that or not, but we just heard another crashing sound. That was the sound of those trees kind of toppling over and chunks of ice falling down. But he did say that he spoke to us for just a couple of minutes, just to kind of, as fast as he could, because they had to get right back to work, to help prepare for tonight and kind of manage this ongoing situation. Wow, that was, I hope you guys can hear this. It's pretty wild. I've been in ice storms myself, back where I'm from in Kentucky, and it's the same exact, if you've ever been in an ice storm, maybe you live further north, if you've ever been in an ice storm, that sound of the ice and then the crashing, and that's exactly what's happening here, but on a much different scale. So it's pretty wild. So we're gonna hopefully get some video up and let you guys hear some of the interview that we just did with David Hill. Literally just a few moments ago, we spoke to him, but again, he had to get right back to work and managing this and preparing for another night of the cold. But yeah, it looks otherworldly over here.
So, Jessica, first off, thanks for braving the cold out there, being live all morning, because we were out there just for a few minutes on the deck and it was really cold. So you're out there in the elements. So we appreciate that. I want to recognize you. But also, just to clarify, Hannah and I were talking, because Hannah did a story about this the other day. So when the system broke, were they unable to turn off the water when they wanted to? Was that why it got so heavy with ice? Or what do we know what broke in the system, like what impact that had?
So the trees were toppling over because of the wind.
Oh, the wind. Okay.
The wind
Okay.
And as I should have added that note too.
Okay.
The wind was causing the trees to topple over, and then in turn it was breaking the irrigation, causing geysers of water, he said, to come up and coat everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so they were having to go like kind of row by row and turn some off because they didn't want to completely shut them off. So it was just, I can't imagine the stress. Like, truly cannot imagine the stress.
Hannah had mentioned that sometimes when they're covering these orange trees, that just the hazard of doing it is that some weaker branches can fall. Sometimes a whole tree can fall. But in this case, it sounds like if there was a geyser that they had a lot more water than they intended in a couple of spots.
Yes, and multiple. Multiple that, like, anytime a tree would kind of, and from my understanding, anytime a tree would kind of topple over, sometimes the roots come up, or just the weight of the tree itself would hit, a part of the irrigation, and that would cause, like, literally, he said a geyser of water, and they would just kind of start popping up throughout the different rows. And it's crazy. I can't imagine.
It looks like you're in Mississippi last week with that ice storm. It's crazy looking.
I mean, there are some branches. I mean, you can see it. Some of the branches have like this much ice on them. Wow. And yes, the sun is helping melt it, but I mean, it's just crazy.
It's heartbreaking to see. It really is, Jess. I mean, I was standing where you are, 4 days ago, and eating the largest blueberries I have ever seen in my entire life. Blueberry season isn't supposed to start until March. This is the first time the owners, David and Lisa, have ever had blueberries in January. They said it was supposed to be an early start to the season. They keep these blueberry plants, these blueberry bushes, for 10 to 15 years. So for something like this, I mean, this could be devastating. But again, they were explaining to me it's a double-edged sword. They want the frost. They want the ice to protect the bushes. But David explained to me, sometimes it's 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds of extra weight on these blueberry bushes, which can mean to cracked branches, like we heard from Jess. When the wind blows, they were toppling over, and that's what led to the irrigation system malfunctions with those plants taking out the irrigation pipes too, and leading to too much ice almost. But you can see the sprinklers still on because they want these plants to stay iced over.
Get that fresh coat going. So Jessica, is there talk about, like, have they mentioned just candidly what they think this is going to mean for the long term for their operations?
He said, I think they're kind of just it's very touch and go right now. They're just trying to manage the near term and prepare for tonight. He did say that they're going to kind of assess things once we finally do kind of crawl out of the freezing temperatures, essentially. And he said they've dealt with the cold before, and they've dealt with freezing temperatures before, but nothing of this magnitude. And he said it was like a gut punch, like just seeing it in real time and coming out. And I mean, they were up all night just so. I think they're going to try and reassess eventually. He did mention the strawberries should be good, but in terms of the blueberries, it's going to be something that they weren't really able to give me like a true final number just yet. But
I guess
probably in the next couple of days, they said they probably would.
Yeah, until we get out of this spell, and then they are able to let things thaw out. They probably won't even know, what this is looking like for them.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking because
exactly, yes.
Yeah, agriculture is suffering anyway in Florida. There's been so many scourges of disease, and now we got the weather. And Jessica, you and I have been looking at this all week, and it's like you see it coming, it's going to have impact, but then to see it manifest is what you're seeing is just, it's really shocking.
Yeah, I don't think words, it's hard to say. Like, I mean, we just turned the corner, and you just saw this like white, just this field of white when we turned the corner to come to this side of the crops, and it was, I audibly gasped because I didn't realize how bad and significant it was. Because I'd seen a Facebook, or excuse me, an Instagram post last night that they had posted in the middle of the night of them actively trying to manage, and then seeing it this morning is just, I mean, you have icicles, you can see, I mean, over a foot long off some of these the blueberry crop. So it's really remarkable. My heart goes out to them. So
are you able to kind of go a little further to show us some of the icicles a little closer up? Or is it kind of just a wet
Yeah, we can try. They do have the sprinklers going,
Okay.
so we don't want to, they still have the sprinklers going, so we don't want to get too much of the equipment wet. But yeah, if we come this way, down this row in particular, if you want to shoot, you can see how far it goes down. And just, this row is probably one of the worst ones, I think. Yeah, of just essentially all white. I mean, it's hard to even see the branches of how much ice is actually on top of them. So you can see it's almost just taken out like the top half of some of the bushes, the ones that have fallen over and toppled over. So you can see how it might have affected the irrigation lines and the water lines and caused this magnitude. Because I mean, we had wind gusts yesterday of 40, almost 50 miles per hour in a lot of spots. It was incredibly windy. So it just kind of was unfortunately the recipe for this to happen.
A message from them this morning on their Facebook page. If you ever wonder why we say love your local farmer, this is why. Yeah, they're going to be closed today, and they're thankful for any prayers that you got to send their way. It'll be a tough few nights for them to figure out what the actual severity of that is looking like. My goodness.
Good vibes, thoughts, and prayers for everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's
definitely.
one of the farms around here that's dealing with this, but many are, or at least the potential that things could go wrong, and it could really derail so much of their livelihood, which is the saddest part of it all.
Yeah, Jessica, you and I were also talking about this week that there's been so much focus on the headline grabbing of the potential of a flurry or the potential of sleet. And the real impact here is what we're seeing. And we've been screaming from the mountaintop that, hey, listen, this freeze is the impact. We've had probably over 10,000 households in Central Florida lose power this morning. A lot of people don't have running water this morning, municipal issues where the water's coming in brown. And now behind you, you've got what looks to be easily $1 million of damage. And it goes on from there. This is just one farm out of many farms across Florida. So it's just a reminder that when we're doing these forecasts, we have to think of the impacts. What is the impact? What really matters here? And one thing can look really crazy on video, and another thing can be really crazy in reality.
Yeah, I did ask David Hill too, one of the owners. I asked him, I was like, how can people help? It's one of those situations where it's like, what can I do? I was like, I know the community loves this place, and so he was just essentially saying, when we open back up, just come back out. We're gonna have strawberries. They grow other things too. They obviously have the carnival rides too. So just come out and support them and visit them whenever things they get back up on their feet and are able to kind of assess. So support, I think, supporting local businesses and local farmers obviously are what, that's how we make Florida what it is, especially Central Florida. So I think that's going to be one of the bigger takeaways here is kind of the community rallying around our local farmers now who are going through this.
Definitely.
Good point.
Maybe they can get something together. Maybe they'll have like a GoFundMe or just something where you can support and maybe balance something to help try to ease everything that's happened so far, Jess.
Yeah.
I think it's like
hopefully
hour
there's
for
insurance
hour.
too, right?
I'm sure they have insurance,
claims,
but at this point they're probably not even thinking about that. They're trying to
save everything they can.
They're trying to figure out what's going on with the next few minutes and hours. Yeah. All right, Jess, thank you so much for being out there. We appreciate it. And like we all said, it's going to take days before we actually know the true impact out there at Southern Hill Farms and so many other farms in our area because we are a very agriculture heavy area. We are going to head to a quick break. We'll be right back with our extended coverage of the Florida freeze. Stay with us. Welcome back to our extended coverage of the Florida freeze. We are talking everything that is going on right now, power outages, impacts on local businesses, family-owned farmers, that sort of things. This is video right now showing some snow flurries in Jacksonville. This is not too far from us. So you guys were talking about snow in Florida. This is what we got.
This is a wedding. This was a wedding also in Jacksonville. Can you imagine the magic?
Oh my gosh.
Cold.
I think that's a good omen. You know when they say like it rains on your wedding day? What about snow?
It has to be like extra lucky, right?
Extra lucky.
And it was a full snow moon last night.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, then
You see
this
what I'm
couple is
saying?
set. They are set.
They're good to go.
That's perfect. Yeah, I feel like that has to be even luckier. So they should go do something,
Right.
go buy a lottery ticket or I don't know.
All right, you guys, wait. That's the first time I've seen 33 on the board right now. Is that Orlando?
Well, we above freezing. There we go. We made it to.
We made it above freezing
We are out
in
of the freezer
Orlando.
for the time being.
We're used to that being the reading in Celsius here.
Yeah.
Almost noon, right, you guys? Almost
getting there.
noon, and we are out of freezing. What's the rest of the day looking like?
Well, it was a 12-hour freeze, by the way, which long duration freeze, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And TJ, you've got the scoop on the rest of the day. Is there hope for a warmer tomorrow?
I think there is. I think for all of us, for all of our sakes, and you know what? What we can do is bottle this up until when we have temperatures in the 90s and heat indices beyond 100 for June, July, August. We'll appreciate the cold, not all the tough things we've been talking about, but we'll be able to think chilly to try to bring back some of those cooler feels. And speaking of cold feels, we've broken records across much of Central Florida here this morning. Just to name a handful, Orlando, we've been talking about this all week long. 24 degrees is what we observed here this morning. That broke the old record of 28 degrees back in 1936. Sanford, 30 degrees was the previous record. That was back in the mid-1960s. We had 23, and actually a trio of 23-degree readings here this morning from Leesburg down to Daytona. 30 in Leesburg, the old record of in 1979 of 30. We shattered that by 7 degrees, and then Daytona 30 degrees as well. That was set back in 1936 in conjunction with Orlando. So a cold February 1st back in 1936, to say the least. Now February 1st, 2026, going to take the cake and hold the trophy for now. Maybe not a trophy that any of us want to hold. We're now, as we were just saying, back beyond the freezing mark. That includes Cocoa Beach to Titusville, Leesburg, you're at 33, but notice a couple spots like Ocala and Gainesville. Still cold, and Palm Coast, you're also below freezing. So good morning to you. If you are getting out, you still need to layer up, grab the heavier jacket, but we will continue to warm up thanks to the help of the sun as well. We still have that northerly to northwesterly wind, though, that is pulling in that cold air mass that'll be with us as we progress through the next 24 hours. We've been talking about the power outages all morning long. Still many customers across Central Florida, many communities dealing with these outages, including Orange County, 3,000 customers without power, 2,000 in Polk County, Seminole County, Volusia County, many folks still without power. So if you are watching us on Fox Local on your tablet, your cell phone, your computer, thanks so much for hanging with us, and hopefully the power will be restored as soon as possible. I'm sure crews working so hard to get the power restored as quickly as they can. Wind chills, though, this is what really matters, because we can show you temperatures that are beyond freezing, but if it feels like 22 or 26, that's not great. So that's why you still need to grab the winter gear, the gloves, the stocking cap, if you know you're going to be outside for a prolonged period of time, right? 21 in Kissimmee feels like 19 still in New Smyrna, 27 in the Villages, it feels like 26 in Palm Coast. So still rough, still low to mid 20s, and likely this is going to be the feeling until we hit lunchtime and a little bit beyond. Still have those extreme cold warnings in play for the frigid feels like conditions, and that's why we call it an extreme cold warning, because it is extreme and it can be dangerous. So that's why we say exposed skin, like your fingers, your ears. You want to go out with some earmuffs on or gloves, whatever you have in the closet that you can find to keep yourself warm. It would be a good idea. And we're going to have this in effect once again tonight into Monday morning. So it's slated to expire at Monday 10 a.m., still kind of at the end of the morning commute. So if you are getting out early on, that's something to pay attention. Now, the freeze warnings, if you didn't cover up your plants, I'm sorry, I'm sure they are sadly not going to make it past this Florida freeze, but we still have those freeze warnings in play for all communities across Central Florida through 10 a.m. Monday. Again, they'll be lifted briefly, and then when temperatures start to drop this evening, they'll go back into effect and last through our Monday morning. Here are the feels like temps through the rest of the day. notice we're not going to rise all that much. We're actually going to only be back into the 30s for the most part, and likely below freezing even as we hit peak heating later on this afternoon. 38, 39, maybe 40, but then this is 11 o'clock tonight. So if you have any plans tonight, late tonight, whether that be running some errands, or maybe you have to run out and take the dog to the bathroom real fast before you head off to bed, definitely something to think about them, think about yourself. Still need to bundle up in a big way as you're heading out late tonight. And then through the wee hours of our Monday morning, this is wake up time, watching Good Day Orlando, teens and 20s yet again. So we're still going to be in the quote-unquote Florida freeze as we kick off our first full week of February. And then finally a little bit of improvement late morning, and we are going to be back into the 50s Monday afternoon. Now for our high today, that'll likely smash the record as well. That was also set back in 1936. Already have the low taken care of. I think the high, safe to say that we will not make it to 48 and break that cold high on February 1st as well. Now, if maybe you're visiting, maybe you tried to escape the cold and the cold followed you to Florida. If you are heading up to theme parks today, whether it be the Epcot Festival of the Arts or the Seven Seas Festival out at SeaWorld, a lot going on across Central Florida, but especially at the parks, notice still as we progress closer to lunchtime, we're going to be in the 30s, right around 43 at 2, and then back into the mid-30s for the fireworks times. And some attractions might be either delayed or they might not be operating with the cold. So be patient with everyone that's out at the theme parks working in the cold as well. As we head through the rest of the day, we are expecting highs to get to around 45 degrees in Orlando, 44 in Daytona Beach, 44 in Ocala, 46 degrees for those of you in Bushnell. And then tonight, as we mentioned, we're right back into the low to mid 20s, and we'll have to be on a record watch once again, gather some of that data and see where we stand for our Monday morning, but potentially record breaking yet again. Now, this is something that stands out. It stood out to us because when we talk about the cold and how cold it's been today and what it'll be through the remainder of our Sunday, it's not all that often that we can say we have these types of conditions, right? Since we've had records on the books since 1892, 45-degree highs or colder, there have only been 36 of those days, and likely today will be added to that list. So that would be 37 days. So it's not looking like it's something that will be happening all that often, but it's something that stands out because it's not all that often that we have this kind of cold. Now, many of you are saying and asking, hey, are we going to break that record of all-time cold in Orlando? Didn't happen, but we weren't all that shy of 18 degrees. That was set back as we were talking about the Great Freeze of 1894 into 1895. Now, we are expecting some improvement, a little bit of improvement on the Fox 35 Storm Team 7-day forecast, 61 on Tuesday. And notice, our typical high, our average high for this time of the year is 73. So we're still going to be below average through the entirety of the week. But 70s, that's going to feel great. 70 on Wednesday. But we are already monitoring another cold front, and that cold front going to bring the potential for maybe a few showers late Wednesday into Thursday. But another cool down. We'll probably have maybe the potential for a little frost once again late in the work week, Brooks, Hannah. So I don't know. I mean, it's crazy that I didn't think that when I moved to Florida, we'd have this. To be completely honest, I was like, wow.
I blame the tourists that brought this in the carry-on.
All you
from
guys.
Calgary, thank you.
Yes.
From Calgary, right out of Canada.
Wisconsin,
from Calgary
we know
to Central
you.
Florida.
A shout out to our Quebecian viewers, especially
Yes.
in Sherbrooke and Montreal.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have some Quebecian viewers. Bonjour, right? That's what they say.
Yes.
And also in the UK, we got some viewers up in the UK.
Hello.
I love that.
Some of those are my family members. My uncle watches.
Is he in the? He's in the UK.
Yeah, my whole family is. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're all in Scotland.
Scotland, you say? Can you do the
I
accent?
apologize. I apologize
Can you do
to
the
everyone
accent?
from the UK this morning on behalf of that.
They make fun of Americans all the time in our Yankee accent. I got it.
I don't think it's make fun. I think it's like
guys.
admiring.
It
I
is-
feel like it's
yes.
like when you're over there and you
Flattering.
hear an American
I would
accent,
love
it's
to
kind
have.
of cool.
I would love to have
I would
in
too.
English. I think I could. Anyone. I could listen.
Until
to
you
some,
have one.
Until you have
have one.
And then you try to lose it like I did. Well, mine was Scottish, not English. It's a rough accent.
It's got its own language too, right? There's like words that are
Depends on the
unique.
region that you're from, and
It's
your
fascinating.
dialect.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so so interesting.
We're such a melting pot here in Central Florida, which is the coolest thing.
You know what? I like that word, melting pot.
Imagine melting.
Yes. I wish we could melt right now.
Yeah.
See the train of logic. Yeah. Warm, warmer, warmest. Well,
I've been trying to. People at home are probably like, why does she keep rubbing her hands? I'm so cold. I'm trying to warm
Yeah, it is
up.
cold.
thank you for understanding that I was imitating as an expression of flattery for you and the Scottish people, the great people of Scotland.
Yeah, you're gonna backpedal yourself. I'm not helping you with that.
I thought you were going to say bagpipes.
That would be even worse.
I can listen to bagpipes. Oh my gosh, all day long too.
They're about to start playing that song they play at funerals. She's about to take me out. All right.
Okay, we are talking flakes or fakes. So we touched on this topic a little bit earlier. So we've obviously gotten tons of videos, and we appreciate them. You guys sending us, snow, how you're celebrating or kind of commemorating this weekend. Maybe you're just like locked inside your house with your puppies, and I don't blame you, curled up into a blanket. Some of you guys, though, did send us videos that allegedly showed some flurries, but Laurel did a little digging and she found out there might be some dust there.
Okay, so here's a question for you. How can light snow get observed when there is no cloud cover, no moisture, and temperatures are above freezing? Hey everybody, my name is Laurel Blanchard. I'm a meteorologist at Fox 35 in Orlando, Florida. And according to the Melbourne International Airport in Melbourne, Florida, it's possible, but not in the way you'd think. Saturday afternoon, our winds picked up significantly, and this is all ahead of our temperatures dropping drastically into the low 20s, which is temperatures that we haven't felt in Central Florida in over a decade. These winds reached over 45 miles per hour at the Melbourne airport, which definitely led to a lot of dust and dirt getting swept up into the atmosphere. And that got picked up by the Melbourne International Airport weather sensors. So as you can see here on the observations, it actually got picked up as light snow when really it was just a lot of dust. There was nothing supporting that there was any flurries or anything, just a little bit of a technical error. But with the cold and winter air setting in, it was kind of fun entertaining the idea that we did see some flurries at the Melbourne International Airport. Stay warm out there, Central Florida.
We're trying, Laurel.
I mean, that's part of it, though. It's like part of the fun is that we want there to be like a little flurry or two, because it is fun, especially for us that we don't see.
It's so funny, when I was driving yesterday back home from the Celebrate Lunar Festival close to downtown Orlando, it just had that look in the air. You know, it could snow.
It was great.
It could snow. It was great.
Yes.
The low clouds.
But it didn't.
But it didn't do it. Brooks, in our little weather team group chat, we were all talking. I went through a hot cocoa, and no joke, I was seeing people getting in their cars at Wawa, and people are wearing short sleeves and shorts. I'm like, come on, I'm bundled. I have my scarf on. I'm like, go bundle up. You're gonna it is cold. What is going on?
Our producers laughed at me when I walked in this morning because I had obviously my big coat on, and I have like an alpaca fur hat that I was wearing. It's not often you can pull out the fur in Florida.
Director Knox said he was wearing shorts last night. Knox, I can't even believe you. He said he was wearing shorts last night.
That doesn't surprise me.
It honestly
doesn't
surprise me.
Yeah. I do love Florida fashion when it comes to cold stretches. You go to like Publix.
Yeah.
And you see someone who has like bundled up on top with a jacket. They've got the ear warmers, and they're wearing Crocs and shorts.
Yes, flip flops. Yes. We were eating dinner last night.
Pants?
Yeah.
Your pants are the only pants I own. Are my suit. I got a pair of jeans.
Those are called your long shorts.
My long shorts.
Your long shorts.
A pair of slacks. Just lounging at the golf course with my slacks. Oh no, but it's true. It's really funny. And then when they do bundle up, I'm talking about Florida Man. It looks like a scene out of The Day After Tomorrow. It's like found objects, like a mummy wrapped up.
It's usually like Bucky's pants, like sweatpants.
Exactly.
Like 2 pairs of pajama sweatpants, and like you're like a scene out of the Christmas Story where you can't put the arms down.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Exactly. And usually you've got like the big thick like athletic socks with the MJ slides. It's a whole look. I mean,
it is.
Florida Man.
I went out on a walk yesterday with my dog, and I did have 2 pairs of socks on. I did.
That's great. I love that. I'm glad you did.
But I wore regular shoes. I wore sneakers.
You didn't wear slides?
I wasn't wearing slides.
I thought about yesterday. Our coworker Zoe, poor Zoe, when she was out, I believe she came right from because she owns her own yoga studio. She had.
Oh, that's Zoe. Okay, yes.
Yeah, who works in creative services, and I felt so bad because Norma was down there, one of our assistants and one of our amazing coworkers in the newsroom, and she gave Zoe her jacket, and then she didn't have she was heading out. She needed it, and she had like Crocs on. I'm like, Zoe, your feet are gonna freeze. I felt so bad. I was like, I'd give you my Hey Dudes. I'd walk around in my socks, but I was like, I felt so bad for her. Yeah, it was. People were bundled up yesterday, which I'm glad they were. Yeah. I don't think I saw anybody that was like wearing anything super crazy at the festival. So
it's gonna continue for sure.
Yeah, it's always fun, Florida fashion, when the weather gets cold. But it's our one time where we can actually wear that jacket that's been in the closet for 3 years.
Dust it off.
Yeah, I had to do the same. I was like, oh, I forgot about that jacket.
There you go.
I wonder if it still fits.
Yeah, exactly. That's the question. It's like, will it fit? I hope it does. Yeah.
I had my big jacket on when I was out at the farm doing my story this past week, and I left it in my photographer's car.
Oh,
I texted him after. I was like, I left. I was like, don't come back. Don't worry about it. I'll get it from you later. So I'm one jacket down. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. Our complete coverage of this Florida freeze, extended complete coverage, will continue after this. Alrighty, welcome back to our extended coverage of this Florida freeze. Check out the view on your screen right now. If you're not sure what little Gertie here has in her mouth, that's an icicle. This little Frenchie was playing fetch with a Florida icicle today. This is sent to us from our viewer in Ocala. This is Amy Brink's Frenchie named Gertie.
Gertie's adorable.
Gertie's a good
Cute
girl.
Name. I know, I love the name.
Look at her go. She's a gorgeous dog. Look at her just having a great time. You know, Cruz, he loves ice cubes. I don't know if he would know what to do with that
with
whole
an icicle.
Look at the prance.
Look at her go.
She's like proud. She's like, look what I brought, Mom. It's going to melt all over your rug. Oh, that is too cute. How do your pets? How do y'all's pets?
Cute.
Do you have any? I know you.
I got a couple of full-size Australian Shepherds.
Oh, so they might like
They're big boys. They love it cold. In fact, I had to beg them to come in. I did. They did not want to come inside last night. It was like,
really?
Went to bed late last night. It was already like 28 degrees. And I'm like, all right, guys, come on in. They didn't want to come in. They were just like, you know, come on. I use like biscuits and like things to entice them. But
that's how Cruz is too.
They love it. Yeah, it really. Yeah, okay. So when we lived in Colorado, they would sleep out, not at night, but like during the day, they'd go out in the backyard, sleep outside in the powder snow, just.
Oh my gosh.
They were like sled dogs.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I could not extract them. It's like 18 degrees and they're just like digging and doing dog things. And I'm like, what are you doing? They love it. So I feel bad bringing them in, but I can't be a hypocrite and be like, take your pets inside, leave them outside all day.
For sure.
Anyway.
But it's obviously you're monitoring the conditions. You're not like locking them out there.
No. They have like it's not like they're outside. It's like they have a doghouse. It's like, blankets and like a bed and it's all covered. It's good. It's how they house dogs in Alaska on those dog teams.
Yeah, the mush sleds. Yeah. So we've got the opposite side. You've got little Gizmo who would not last 5 minutes.
He's a good little baby.
He's a little couch baby.
Yeah, he is. He didn't want to go to the bathroom last night. So
I told you had to put a sweater on him. Did you put a sweater on him?
Well, so he didn't even want to go out. So now the day before, he didn't.
That means no.
Where's the sweater?
He didn't know. He wouldn't put it on him.
Well, so here's the scenario.
Bad Gizmo.
Yeah. let me set this up for you both.
He's like, that's not in style, Dad. I'm not wearing that one.
When I'm usually here hanging out at Fox 35, Gizmo a lot of times he won't eat a ton. I mean, he sulks a little bit.
Oh, he won't eat? He goes on a food strike?
This is from Eric's mouth to my ears.
Oh, okay.
So apparently he did not eat a lot the day before, so he didn't get a walk yesterday. I mean, he went out and went to the bathroom, but he did not want to go. So I'm sure that'll be the task when I get home today.
Yeah.
And he probably will not want to go out. So I'll have to put the little fleece on him.
You got to put the fleece on him.
He does have a Carhartt that my brother.
He has a Carhartt?
Yeah, he has a little Carhartt, so we might put the Carhartt on him.
Ooh,
But,
he's got some style.
Nice.
His tootsies are too fluffy to put the shoes on, so he doesn't wear the shoes because.
Tootsies.
What kind of a dog is he?
He's a Shih Tzu Bichon mix, so he's a little.
As if you couldn't get more bougie with a Shih Tzu. He's a Shih Tzu Bichon.
Yeah, he's a little fluffy little.
He's a gorgeous little one. He's so cute.
He was a little.
He's a fluffy little boy.
Fluffy. little Bichon.
Yeah.
It's like Dijon. That's so cute. That's great.
He's sweet.
What kind of dog is Cruz?
Cruz is an English lab.
Oh, English lab. Oh,
Yes.
so Cruz loves to be out in the elements.
He loves it. He's from North Carolina too, so he's got the thick undercoat.
Oh yes.
So
Okay.
oh god, the shedding is terrible. Usually here in
I
Florida,
bet.
I have the opposite problem with him. Like
Yes.
in the summertime, I can't leave him outside. He goes out quickly and comes back in still panting because he's a big boy.
He's a big
Yeah.
boy, yeah.
He's pushing well over 100. Last time we went to the
Yes.
vet, he was 100 pounds, and he's gotten even thickier since.
Well
so.
loved. Well loved.
Gizmo's pushing
Got
just
big
over.
bones.
He's pushing just over 15 right now.
I think my cat weighs 15 pounds.
I think our cat weighs more than Gizmo actually. Our
How
one
do you get your
kitty.
dog into the car when you have to go to the vet?
Oh, he jumps.
He jumps up.
He's a sprightly one. He's got little legs, but he can still jump.
Okay.
Kind of like me.
Pick him up. I don't know, like blocks of. That's like picking up a sheep.
They do look like sheep.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. They're big, fluffy
Oh
dogs.
my goodness.
Well, on a more serious note, we have been having fun with the freeze. TG and I
We
doing
have.
experiments this morning.
Yep.
Freezing polo shirts, doing little experiments outside when the temperatures in the mid 20s, and it's been interesting. But of course, there's the serious side of this. We've got power outages, unfortunately, for a lot of folks, and we've also got these major agricultural issues for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So we've got reporters all over the region, and I believe we wanted to check on.
Yep,
the
Jessica
latest.
Dobson. She's at Southern Hill Farms this morning showing us the sites there. Talking about a pretty tragic situation so far. At least we won't even know too much more until we're able to get out of this and we start to see things thawing. Jess, have you found anything out from the owners, David, Lisa Hill? Have you spoken with them again?
No. So I spoke with them a little earlier this morning, and they had to do, it was a very quick interview we did because he had to get right back to work, essentially. He only had about 5 minutes to sit and talk with us, which was very gracious of him, just because he's dealing with the magnitude of this. I mean, I feel like the sites can explain it better than I can tell you, because everything just looks like a frozen, iced over tundra, and it's really heartbreaking, and we don't truly know the magnitude of this just yet, because it's something we'll have to wait a couple days. According to David Hill, he says we have to wait a couple days before we can know exactly just how bad it is. But you can just see, I mean, it's row by row by row that everything is just coated in ice. And the issue is they originally try and create a thin coating of ice over these blueberry crops, right, to help protect them from the cold weather. We've been talking about this, all week long, all the things the farmers have to do in order to prepare, and this was one of the ways they can do that. But the issue became the wind. The wind helped topple over a lot of these bushes. That in turn caused the irrigation to essentially burst in some spots. And David Hill actually said that they had a geyser of water in multiple spots overnight. I kept popping up, and it was really just, it's hard to put into words, in all honesty. And he was devastated. He said it was like a gut punch. They were up all night long trying to manage this. And I mean, there's inches of ice on some of these trees. And a lot of them are almost topped. You know how sometimes, you see tree, in just a normal neighborhood, you might see a tree crew trying to top a tree and help to shave off some branches. And it looks like that's what's happened to some of these blueberry trees and bushes, but not on purpose. It's because of the ice. So when they had these geysers of water coming out, talking winds of 40, 50 miles per hour, temperatures plunging into the 20s, it's like fighting an uphill battle. And that's essentially what they were dealing with and what they're dealing with this morning. And it's just been very touch and go. I'm going to step over to the right a little bit because they still do have some of the sprinklers on, some of the irrigation on. I don't want too much of our equipment to get too wet, but it is just rows and rows and rows of blueberry bushes that are completely coated in ice, more than what was supposed to be coated in ice, right? So we've been hearing it more, especially as the temperature is increasing and the sun is coming up. We've been hearing it more and more of the trees kind of crashing and the ice falling off of the trees, but a lot of them have already toppled over because it's so heavy, how much ice is on them just in general. It can add a lot of weight. It doesn't take much. And you have to think like a normal tree or even like a power line when there's an ice storm. And that coupled with the winds is just a recipe for this happening. And you can see some of the trees are still up and standing. Again, they said it would take a couple of days before they really knew the extent of the damage and the magnitude in terms of, the financial loss and what this would mean for the rest of the year and how this would create a ripple effect essentially for the remainder of their crops. I will say, they said the strawberries, David Hill did say the strawberries are good, but man, it's hard. Southern Hills Farm, it's such a staple of Central Florida, so it's hard to see this kind of thing. And you have just like icicles, over a foot in length with some of these trees from the water. And obviously they still have the water on. They said they were having to go row by row last night, literally overnight. He said he did not sleep. He and his family did not sleep because they were dealing with this all night long. I mean, it's just truly, it's devastating. So it was either kind of a wait and risk or a wait and see and taking the risk of coating them in ice or not coating them in ice and taking the chance of the plant just freezing, as we've mentioned before, and the crops just freezing. So yeah, they spoke to us a little while ago, and you could just tell it was hard for him, I feel like, to even get a good grasp on the extent of the situation, just because it's so touch and go, because they have to prepare for tonight. And that was kind of the focus of like assessing what to do now. And then, all right, it's like, all right, what do we do now with what we have? How can we protect what's left before tonight's second freeze happens? At least tonight the wind won't be quite as bad. But yeah, it's just, it's hard to explain what, like, when we came around the corner, when they were taking us out to the spot, when we got here, we knew that the irrigation, they had mentioned, and we had seen online, the irrigation had burst and there were some water issues. But I mean, this was not what I at all was anticipating. And it was like just this huge white sheen of an Arctic looking tundra as we rounded the corner. And I literally gasped out loud because I've never really seen anything like this. It's like an ice storm times 10. So yeah, it's not great. And again, they're working nonstop because again, we have more of those cold temperatures on the way for tonight. So they're really, we're really just hoping and praying they can get back up on their feet, manage this without any additional crop loss. He did say that they do think they lost some, but he couldn't give me an exact number as to really how much just yet, because again, it's going to take a couple days for them to thaw out and to assess the situation. I think they're really just kind of thinking in the near term for now, how can we get through this next 24 to 48 hours and go from there. So yeah, it's been wild. I mean, it is still cold outside, you guys. Like, we tried not to have our gloves on, and we couldn't. I had my jacket unzipped for a little while, so yes, the sun is out and it does feel better. But even earlier this morning, I was outside in Mount Dora, and it was just 25, 30 minutes that we were outside, and my hand, even with my gloves on, my hands were throbbing in pain because it was so cold, especially before the sun came up officially. So yeah, and this is what Brooks was mentioning earlier, and TJ. Yeah, we had flurries, like the chance of flurries, and everyone was talking about that online. But this, I think, is the real true impact. I mean, even in like my neighborhood app I have on my phone, and I've seen so many people online talking about, I'm not getting any water right now. I think the pipe may be frozen, or because. We can joke all the time about, Floridians are soft, but our homes are not necessarily equipped for this kind of thing. And this is tough. So our homes are not necessarily insulated for this type of weather. So that is why it can be incredibly impactful for us when we're dealing with temperatures that have been the coldest in about 16 years. And you got to think about what you were doing 16 years ago. That was 2010. So yeah, it has been quite cold. We have round 2 tomorrow. So really thinking about all the farmers who have to go through this. I can't imagine the level of stress and anxiety they must feel trying to prepare and get a grasp on what to do next. Hopefully, the rest of the winter is going to be a lot kinder to us, but yeah, it's pretty remarkable. But I'll send it back over to you guys in the studio. If you have any questions, I'm all ears too. But
I mean,
you nailed it.
Jess, Arctic tundra. I mean, I think that's exactly what we all thought when we saw it. We were looking out there, like you're saying, just going to be a wait and see type of situation for them.
Mm-hmm.
I do hear a bunch of chainsaws though. What are they doing out there? What are they? Anything?
That's a good question. So they do have some blueberry bushes on the other side of us that. I mentioned that they didn't use the irrigation on those. And they've had some crews that came out after we spoke with David Hill. I'm not 100% sure what exactly they're doing. I think they're trimming some of these.
Okay.
But not sure the reason why.
Interesting.
We didn't want to interrupt their work because obviously they're trying to prepare and everything for tonight. But yeah, they've been going through just a couple of rows and it looked like they were trimming them. They had like hedge trimmers. So that's what it looked like they were doing.
Yeah. All right, Jess, appreciate that. Again, they are closed today out in Claremont. But I know Jess mentioned earlier, she asked, David, what can we do? And he was like, right now, off limits. But that will be what can we do. It'll be supporting businesses that have been impacted like this. They have a huge facility out there. They have carnival rides. They have, I think, like when I was out there,
fall festival, right? That's their big thing. They have a huge
6-7 food trucks.
Wow, that's awesome.
They have pizza. They have tacos. They have all kinds of drinks. They make these blueberry. Oh my gosh, they'd let us sample pretty much everything out there. I told them if I lived here, I would be like 400 pounds heavier. They had fresh blueberry donuts, blueberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade, and all of it's made with what they grow there on the property. And it's just a fantastic area. They have the sunflower fields as well. So there's a lot of stuff to do out there. So hopefully, when we do find out, the full extent of what this has done, we are able to come together and head out there and provide support any way we can.
Yeah, for a lot of people in Central Florida living in the city, not connected to the ag community, this was just a cold Sunday morning, but this will be a historic freeze in the annals of Florida growing and agriculture.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's going to be right up there with the big freezes of the mid-1980s for a lot of these farms.
Jess was mentioning all the neighborhood groups. I was getting some text from us for our neighborhood, and apparently, I'm sure a lot of homeowners hopefully turn their systems off, but apparently the community itself may have not. Now there's water completely running behind our house. So who knows? Oh, no. So I don't know if that's going to, it sounds like maybe our irrigation system maybe burst in our, so I'm sure that won't be great for the homeowners. And you have to think, it impacts homeowners, when if something like this happens, it can't be cheap to fix the whole communities.
You'll get an assessment now.
So yeah, we'll probably have to. Our HOA will probably. So I'm sure a lot of people could be dealing with that too. So it's just like, goodness gracious.
We're also dealing with a lot of power outages this morning. Still, a lot of people in our area waking up without power. We did just get a statement from Duke Energy. Earlier, we had one from Florida Power and Light, but the Duke Energy says as of 11:30 a.m., so what, 45 minutes ago, Duke Energy Florida has approximately 4,000 customer outages in Central Florida area and about 5,500 total outages across the state. For perspective, Duke Energy serves about 2 million customer accounts in the state of Florida. Crews are working to restore every outage as quickly and safely as possible. So 4,000 here directly impacted Duke customers in Central Florida, 5,500 across the state. Wow.
I'm sure people who don't have power are thinking, well, for perspective, my house is 52 degrees right now. Thank you very much for that perspective.
Exactly.
Well, one man reached out to me, said 34.
Yeah.
I had an Instagram message.
34 degrees in the house?
Yeah, because it went out like in the middle of the night.
Oh, I see. So it's been like a long duration.
Yeah.
They had a long.
They said the cause was wind overnight for some communities, and then probably the majority of them this morning, considering a lot of power went out at like 9 o'clock, is demand. People woke up and they turned the heat up, and then it was just too much for the grid. FPL
was saying that, yeah.
He uses like 3 to 4 times more power than cooling does. And you know, when it's cold, when it's hot here in the summer, people are like, don't put your AC up too cold or else it'll take the power out. So here we are, like more than tripling that in some places.
You know what shocked me? I thought the emergency heat would have kicked on at our house, but when I left this morning, and
what do you mean by emergency heat?
So with heat pumps, with how they work, sometimes it just can't. The heat won't come out of the condensing unit to the furnace feature, so to speak. Is that kind of right, Brooks? And then
the line freezes.
It locks
sometimes.
up. Yeah, the line. And then the emergency heat is a kind of a way to still get heat to the house, and it can.
I don't even know if mine has that.
Have you lost heat?
No, so the heat was just, it hadn't switched over into that mode.
Oh, I see.
Which I assumed, because it was so cold by the time we would have woken up, that it would have gone into that emergency heat mode to still keep heat on at the house. It's very inefficient. It's extremely expensive for a homeowner if it goes into that mode, apparently. It just, it's from what I've heard in the couple stories I have done with some companies. So I didn't realize that. I had no idea that actually just living here, that was the first time I found out that we even had emergency heat. I'm like, what's emergency heat?
This is because it's oil heat or Well, this is if you're out of power, you're being seen. People, you're not alone. In fact, I just got a message from a friend of mine saying that his parents are watching from Colombia. That is the country in South America.
Wow.
They've got connections here in Florida and been here many a time. But people are watching from I'm not going to pronounce it right, but Medellin, Colombia. Medellin, Colombia. Medellin. So good morning and or afternoon at this point, and hopefully it's warmer there. Summertime in the southern hemisphere, or close to the equator anyway.
Medellin,
amazing. But yeah, the impacts are incredible. We've been tracking these impacts for more than a week and a half at this point, talking about how cold is the #1 impact. Yes, there may be a little bit of sleep mixed in, but hey, listen, this is it. It's about the cold, and unfortunately, when you start seeing these cascading impacts, where first you lose power, and then if, as you mentioned, some of those homes are like 34 degrees.
Right.
Tonight, if the power doesn't come on or doesn't come on fast enough, it's theoretical there'd be another big bump in the power grid because everybody's got to warm up their homes and not catch up.
Yep.
So you've got those 5,000 homes that are taking twice the power they normally would, even when they're running the heat, and it all kind of adds up into this crescendo
domino
of
effect.
Demand. Yeah, demand and dominoes, and hopefully the dominoes don't fall because we got another night in the mid-20s on the way. Not as windy, but just as cold.
What time do you guys expect the temps to start dropping again? I know I rejoiced when we finally hit above 32, and we're already talking about dipping back down.
It looks like by 10 o'clock we'll be below freezing.
10 p.m.
It's clear, so temps will drop off fast as the wind settles. Yeah, it'll just be. So if anyone's out, even going to dinner, make sure but you'll probably notice a change from going in. Maybe you're hanging out, and a couple hours, 3 hours goes by, and you're like, that didn't feel that way when we went to dinner, did it?
You catch a matinee at the movie theater at 5:30 when you get out at 8. It's like, what happened? What's going on?
Don't forget your jacket wherever you go.
Please do not do that.
Yes. All right, we're heading to a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. Alrighty, welcome back to our extended coverage of the Florida freeze. All right, we got some viewer photos from you. This one is from Valerie Corso in Orlando. This, she says, is the result of running her sprinklers overnight. And she did this in an effort to make sure her pipes didn't freeze. Is this the same? Is this one still from Valerie? Is this a yard? It's so far away from us. Is it a real sunflower or is this a yard art?
I think it might be a lawn ornament, if you will.
I can't tell, to be honest with you, but wow, what a sight out there. I'm sure her neighbors are coming by and snapping some photos too, because that just looks like a winter wonderland out there. Of course, if you have any photos you'd like to show us of the winter weather or videos, send them our way. Also, just show us how you are spending this cold snap, whether you're just hanging out at home watching Fox 35, or if you're bundled up with your pets, maybe you've got some pet sweaters on like Gizmo might a little bit later, send them to us. You can also download our Fox local app. The QR code is on your screen now. That's if you're joining us from Facebook or YouTube. We appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on this extended coverage because we have a lot to talk about. I mean, we're talking power outages, frozen pipes, no water. Frustrating day for many across Central Florida.
And right now is when a lot of people are discovering, if they do have frozen pipes, that those pipes were frozen and maybe cracked. You don't know when they're frozen that's happening because the water just doesn't run, but when it thaws and then the water starts flowing again, that's when the leaks can get sprung. So hopefully that's, this is just a small subset of total homes that have this problem. It's just that we say it because sometimes people do work unpermitted, right? Maybe they do an extension of the home, or in addition to the home, or an outbuilding, or something like that. It's at this point, since we've had so many freezes decadally, once a decade from the 1950s to today, a lot of these older homes have since been retrofitted if they didn't have insulated pipes. But in theory, you could have like maybe a mobile home or a beam and pier type foundation, and there's pipes running under it, running water that don't have insulation.
Yeah.
And it's not expensive. It's about $7 for a 6-foot length of that foam pipe insulation. So
sometimes you don't know.
But if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly.
And who wants to crawl under there if it never happens? So there's a lot of that too. But unfortunately, it would be now that we're starting to thaw that becomes something that becomes apparent. Of course, on a municipal scale or a community scale, it can happen just because who's watching, like you're watching about it in your community, how there's a big pipe burst. So
I'm curious what it'll look like in the backyard by the time we get home. Hopefully the water's off now, but I'm not sure. I was getting texts from neighbors, and I'm like, oh, well, we have waterfront property now. That's
great.
That's concerning. Not the way you want it to be.
No. So hopefully.
One thing I was going to say, one thing too. If we have time, we have a minute.
Yeah, we do.
So, in these situations, looking ahead to, and I remember this from when I was working in Tampa, because Pasco County is on the West Coast, home of sinkholes. It's a lot of sinkholes.
Sure, yeah.
And there was a famous incident there happened. I believe that was actually in the town of Seffner, where a big sinkhole came about and it swallowed a home while somebody was inside of it.
Oh my God.
Very dramatic, freak incident.
Yeah.
But we are in a drought. We have been much drier than normal, and especially the West Coast is on a very serious drought. And with these long-term drought conditions and with extremely cold weather, a lot of groundwater is pulled from the aquifer to irrigate the citrus, keep everything iced, the strawberries. And if my memory is right, it was a similar situation where it was a really cold winter. There was a lot of this protective stuff happening where they pull a lot more water than normal, and it created cavities in the limestone and resulted in several sinkholes forming. So one thing we'll have to watch out for in the days and weeks and months ahead, because it can kind of be a delayed impact, is a possibility of new sinkholes forming somewhere in Florida as an indirect impact of this Arctic blast.
I know we keep going back to the farm, but Lisa Hill, the owner of the farm, she told me about that.
Oh, she did?
She said they actually have a small sinkhole on the property, and she said you guys should watch out for that in the next few weeks or so. She said, I bet you they'll start popping up, because she explained the same situation.
Yeah, there was a famous one in the late 1980s. I think it was late 1980s, might have been the early 80s. I got to get my numbers right, but if you know, you know. It was Winter Park. This huge sinkhole opened up that became one of the main ponds in Winter Park, and it was. I think everybody was okay, but it was like on a property of a well-off Winter Park person, and so they named the pond after her. Anyway, that's where most of the ponds in Central Florida are from. When you see like an image, like a satellite image of Florida, all those little
craters
everywhere.
Yes.
Those are all sinkholes.
No way.
Interesting.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Lake County, for instance,
Yes.
but especially once you get over to Pasco County, it's all about the limestone underneath, and there's cavities that if it's filled with water, there's buoyancy, and you can put as much weight as you want. But when those empty, for whatever reason, drought, people extracting the water for irrigation, so you have an open cavity, and there may only be like 20 feet of dirt, loose dirt, that can collapse into that cave essentially underground.
Oh my goodness. Well, we are not out of this freeze yet. TJ, you want to get some weather for us just to take us out on that note?
Quick little recap
Yes,
and
yes.
take us through the next 24 hours, guys. Still going to be really cold. Still need to bundle up, but the sun is shining. It's still windy though. That's contributing to those wind chills. Some white caps on Lake Dora right now, taking that live look at the palm fronds blowing, but at the wintry scene on the beaches of coastal North Carolina, the Outer Banks. This is Pine Knoll Shores. Look at all the snow. Just a wild scene. Anytime there's snow on any beach, it's a crazy scene, but this is how things were looking after all that snow as that nor'easter is continuing to work out to sea. The reason why we've had all the cold just spill across the eastern third of the country, and that's why our temperatures are so chilly. We're now up beyond freezing in many locales. It looks like for all of us now, 37 in Titusville, 36 in Orlando, 34 in Ocala, and matching that for those of you in Palm Coast. But we broke records for many communities, including Orlando, Sanford, Leesburg, Daytona, all in the low to mid 20s, shattering records from decades ago. And that's something we'll continue to watch, because tonight I think we'll be on record watch once again. Power outages, still many customers without power. We were talking about FPL and Duke. Hopefully we can get as many of you restored quickly as possible as crews are continuing to work in overdrive, but it's something we'll continue to keep you in the know on through the rest of the day. Storm team alerts into Monday. Back in the 20s we go. 70s by our Wednesday, and another cold front that will bring the potential for a few showers. We need the rain, as Brooks, you were just saying, and hopefully we'll get a little bit as we head through the rest of the work week.
It's going to take a lot of rain to get us back to normal.
Yeah, I know.
And the sun. I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
The sun, and the quote-unquote warmth. The warmth.
Bring it all back to us. Thank you guys so much for joining us on our extended coverage for this Florida freeze. We appreciate it. Spend the rest of your Sunday in through Kitty Hawk, North Carolina last night. This potent storm also bringing coastal flooding. Yeah, quite the dangerous look. Thank you for being a part of our Fox Weather family. We've got more Fox Weather coming up.